twinning. We are twinning.
How?
Great minds think alike.
This is too funny. And,
Yes.
and look, and so us, right?
So us. Yes.
So us. You look so nice and colorful.
Thank you. You know, I figured I'm embracing the summer, so
Yeah. Does it
in
feel
the
like
color,
summer?
I've been tanning.
Does it feel like summer in Chicago already?
Yes, it's about 92 degrees here today.
Oh my gosh. That
Yes.
is
Heat waves.
blazing.
Yes.
That's yeah.
Blazing.
Now how close are you to the water? I mean, I know I've been there, but how close are you to the water?
Like 15, 20 minutes. Not
Oh,
terribly
okay.
far. That's where I go bike riding.
Okay. Now, do you bike there or do you drive there?
Oh no. I have to drive there. I don't trust the streets and people.
Well, listen, I get it. But wait a minute, in that order, or you don't trust streets, you don't trust the people. Like which one?
They're
Or
about
wait,
the
in
same.
which order? About the same. Okay.
Yes. Streets first, but streets first.
Don't trust
The
the
driver, you know.
It's always the streets. The streets will always the streets out to get you. So
Yes, very
well,
much so.
thank you so much for joining tonight and really kicking off a series I'm starting called Teach Me How To. You know, you probably heard, and a lot of our, people that have joined us have probably heard people saying that, during COVID, which I don't necessarily agree with it, but I think it's still a nice idea. I get what they're saying. In terms of if you're quarantining or staying at home or, surrounded by people, or you're not going out as often as you would have, what new skill, are you learning? So I'm like, okay, I love to talk to people, but I also love to learn new things. So
Yes.
why not talk with people and connect with people that are doing great things, to learn more about, their passions, but to also teach me something, but to also, teach people that, are people that are listening, teach them something as well. So I'll be doing this for the whole month, and you're the very first.
Yay! I'm happy to kick things off.
There you go.
So I'm going to start with a quick sip.
Yes, and I'm having a Cabernet Sauvignon.
Perfect. I'm having Gentleman Jack Daniels.
All right, okay. So people know that your Instagram handle is wine, whiskey, and water. So we have the wine covered, we have the whiskey covered with you, and then so we'll have to have some water maybe after we talk tonight. So yeah.
Yes,
all right,
definitely.
So to get started, so I've known you for a number of years. It's been so long, I don't even remember how long it's been. But start out by telling people a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and all the great stuff.
Awesome. So my, I guess, government name is Monique Batiste. I am born and raised in Chicago. Actually, let's see. I actually kind of started my career in the hospitality industry, which is a nice segue to wine, whiskey, and water. I wanted to be a chef. I did a couple of internships, and I realized the kitchen was not for me. So I moved from the back of the house, which is like the cooks and prep work, to the front of the house in management. And from there, my career just taken a couple of turns. Within hospitality, I did a brief stint in politics, and then kind of back to hospitality, more so children nutrition. So that's kind of what I do today.
Great, good. So you said you wanted to be a chef. What did you have, like any specialties, or do you have any like special meal? Like, do you have like a go-to meal?
I do. What prompted me to wanted to become a chef was making pancakes. That's the first dish I ever cooked with my father. So I'm like, oh, I can jam. I'm cooking and grooving. And then fast forward, when I really started learning like culinary skills, I would say today it's shrimp and grits. Okay. And also, I haven't made it in a while, but I make a very good turkey lasagna with spinach.
Okay. Now, I've certainly seen your shrimp and grits, and I know I've had your grit. Everyone, she makes a really good grit. She must be tapping in. A lot of people from Chicago migrated, from the South, like Alabama area. So she makes a really good, hearty, sturdy grit. It's like a brownstone grit, right, if I believe, or?
Well, no. It's actually 5-minute Instagrit. but the trick is I put heavy whipping cream in the grits.
Ah, so we're dropping jewels and telling secrets tonight. Okay,
Yes.
all right. So
Yeah.
I'm not had a shrimp, you know, and other people may know that I'm allergic to shellfish. So if they can make like an maybe Impossible Burger can make like an impossible shrimp, maybe I'll have to try
There
that.
is a vegan shrimp here in Chicago. So next time you come, you can make it happen.
Look, you know I'm ready to come to Chicago, so
Yeah.
that's the place I'm ready to come. All right, so so everyone knows that your handle is wine, whiskey, and water. So tell us a little bit about like how you got interested in wine, whiskey, and water, but also like what you actually enjoy about it. So what's the history behind the handle and your interest in wine, whiskey, and water?
So specifically wine, whiskey, and water, many times I'm always asked, what do you drink? And it started with the 3 Ws. And it became like a joke, but then I really thought about it. I'm like, that's the only thing I drink is wine, whiskey, and water. In between, I like a good rum punch or a pina colada or something, but wine, whiskey, and water is what I drink. And my journey started with cocktailing many, many years ago with White Zinfandel. So my palate changed.
Everyone
I know,
starts with white zinc.
everybody. My palate started changing. I went to Chardonnay, Pinot Grigio, then red wine and whiskey. Actually, I was a late bloomer with whiskey, but this was after college. I had a really, really bad toothache. This is like my favorite story. I had a bad toothache. A friend of mine said, hey, gargle with whiskey. At the time, I was green. I didn't know about whiskey. So I went to the store, bought a little pint, came home. It was Jack Daniels. I came home, gargled, just burned my cheeks. I'm like, okay. Ended up at the dentist. I needed a root canal, so nothing was going to save me but the dentist. But now I was stuck with this bottle of Jack, and I researched what's the most popular way of drinking it. It was Jack and Coke, and I have been drinking Jack and Coke since. And that's the early 2000s.
Wow. And so like okay, so if you go to a restaurant and they're out of Jack, then what's another great whiskey you would recommend?
So then I would have been devastated, like, how dare you not have Jack? But
Like,
now,
did you know I was coming?
right. But now I've explored and tasted so many different whiskeys. It just depends on what mood I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
So like I like a good Four Roses, single barrel. I like Crown Royal XO. Jameson, you can never go wrong with that. I mean, it just depends on what mood I'm in.
So what was the last thing?
I said Knob Creek.
Okay, so you've got some good. I think I had Four Roses for the first time, maybe in California. I was somewhere and someone said, "Let's just get Four Roses," and I'm like that emoji, like I don't know, let's just get it. So okay, so that's sort of your history with with whiskey. And your love for everything Jack Daniels. So once you then transition from White Zinfandel, what did you transition to then in terms of wines?
So it was White Zinfandel, and actually I went on vacation to the DR, and they didn't have White Zinfandel. So it was just your basic red and white, so dry. So I think I did their white table wine. So when I came back home, my palate changed just that quick. So I couldn't drink White Zinfandel anymore, and I started drinking Chardonnay.
Ah, okay. All right. So you're mostly white.
No, that was then. As I said earlier, like my palate, it's so funny just watching my own journey because my palate keeps changing. So I would say within the last 5 years, I really crossed over to red wine. So I like a good Cabernet or Shiraz, Pinot Noir.
Yeah, I prefer, I used to be, of course, as you say, everyone started out with White Zinfandel. I think I started out with like Sutter Home, which is like, I think everyone's like initial, wait, let me ask this question. Does Mad Dog count as a wine? Mad Dog? No. Okay, all right.
No.
Okay. So if Mad Dog 2020 is not a wine, then I would say I started out with White Zinfandel. And then I think I probably transitioned to Chardonnay, as me and my cousin Shannon would say. I had Char. But, and then it was Pinot Grigio. But every year my family, we go to the beach. And so we'll just, me and our friend Rhonda will take wines and everything. And so I took Pinot Noir one year, and I really wasn't a good Pinot Noir, big drinker. But my cousin Shannon said, let's do the Pinot Noir. And I'm like, this is actually pretty good. It's not as strong to me as a Shiraz. It's a little bit Yeah, it's a little
It's
bit lighter.
lighter.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
lighter than even like tonight I'm having a Cabernet Sauvignon, but
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's a blend, right? A cab like because there's a Cabernet and then there's a Cabernet Sauvignon, right?
It's just the one,
No.
but just for
Oh.
time, we just like to say cab or cabernet.
Ah, why did I think there was only just the cab by itself? Okay, see,
Mm-mm.
I really, you really are teaching me because I thought there was just
Yeah.
the Cabernet by itself. Okay, so, but yeah, I'm not really, I mean, I guess Shiraz goes, I've heard they go well with steaks, I believe.
Oh, that was yes. I'm having a flashback. I had an awesome steak here in Chicago in the Shiraz, and that was when I first started thinking about like, oh, maybe I should start drinking red wine. So,
Mm.
yeah.
Oh, okay. And then someone sent me recently, hopefully I'm pronouncing it right, Syrah.
Mm-hmm.
Syrah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and oftentimes people will confuse like Syrah with Shiraz, but Syrah is more. It can be like an Australian wine, but also
Well,
different wines can come from different regions. I mean, it just depends on where the grapes are from,
got it.
but
Well,
a Syrah is also good.
when I got the bottle, I was like, how dare they? How could they spell the name Shiraz like wrong? Like, who's sending me this, this bootleg, wine? Like, how did this actually happen? And how dare they even send this in the mail? So,
How dare they?
how dare they do that? So, okay, and then lastly, the water, which both of us would have to have tonight. What does water, play in all this? So, what's the importance of water?
So at the end of the day, as much as we would love to drink our wine and spirits daily, all day, we can't. We have to stay hydrated. And people that really know me know that I believe in my 3 W's, and I also believe in my other favorite word, hydration. So, and just a little nugget about hydration. So I have props. So,
I love it.
So this is typically used for your Moscow Mule, Kentucky Mule, or whatever type of mule that you decide to drink or make. But drinking out of a copper vessel, it really has health benefits. It helps with slowing down the aging process, helps with food and like your digestion, and then also boosts skin health. Those are like a couple that I can think of like off the top of my head. But it's very beneficial to drink your water out of a copper vessel.
I don't know if I knew that. You
Yeah.
are, see, this is what I wanted because the problem is, there's certain things that we all don't know, but there's certain things that we can learn more about. And I didn't know that water with copper was something that there are actually benefits of doing that. And you're right. I like to do my tequila and orange juice and with a full fresh lime squeezed into it.
Just get it all in there.
Yeah, get it all in there. Now, I don't know if that's...
So wait a minute.
Yeah.
I think I see a question. What's my favorite red wine before I go? So right now, more props. I've been drinking 19 Crimes Cabernet.
No, wait, but there's a story to that bottle, right? So
Yes.
It's like an interactive bottle or something, right?
It is. It's actually pretty cool. So like you download an app for 19 Crimes, and then you put your camera over the picture of the perpetrator, and it just kind of share the story of why he or she went to jail. And I think it's about maybe 5 or 6 different types of wines within the 19 Crimes brand. And actually, a new one was just released. Right now, it's just in California, but it's red wine. Snoop Dogg. He's partnered with 19 Crimes. Snoop Dogg, the rapper, like that guy.
I like that. And and to that point, but I've seen like a lot of people, celebrities, really getting into the wine industry. I think Mary J. Blige just came out with a new wine line. Some friends sent me some wine from the guy from the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, Titus Burgess. So
oh yes, yeah. Titus. I tried that one. It's good.
The bottle is just so cute. I mean, I'm like, and this is what happens when people send me or I get those types of things. It's like I don't want to open it because it's such a nice bottle. And then someone sent me a bottle. For some reason, I thought it was 19 Crimes, but it's not. But I think it was a bottle that had Josephine Baker on the front, and I'm like, man, I can't get rid of this bottle because it's got Josephine Baker on it. So.
Guess what? You don't have to get rid of it. What I like to do is make my wine bottle into a flower vase. You can put your favorite flowers in there. So
functional. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good deal. So, okay, so we covered all the areas now, and so you then, turned this passion for wine, whiskey, and water into an Instagram page.
Correct.
So, what's the story behind you wanting to start that page, and what's your goal by doing that?
Many of my friends, family, and colleagues, they say like, "Hey Mo, like you really know about like your wine, whiskey, and water. You're always going out and about. Like you should share this out." So about a year ago on my birthday, I wrote out this wine, whiskey, and water page, and I just go on there and just talk about like wherever I go. If I'm traveling, I'm here. If I'm making something, I just kind of share out just some recipes, a place to go, like benefits, like
Mm-hmm.
whatever moves me. So I just thought this is a passion, so why not share?
Yeah, and that's a part of it. Even with this, it's really when you really love what you're doing, whether it's an Instagram page or anything, it's gonna really come out. The
Yes,
consistency, it's really what you just said. The actual sharing is gonna come out as well. So,
exactly.
with that, what's been some lessons you learned, with starting an Instagram page?
Well, I have met some amazing people throughout this journey. Some awesome bloggers here in Chicago and also in Baltimore, my second home. Thanks, Airbnb, April. Um, but it just takes time. Like I know going to events, it can be costly. So, I know how to crawl before I walk. So I'll pay and I'll go, but I just want to get my name out there. And I just want people to see like, I like this, I put my spin on it. I just kind of talk about it from my lens. And
Mm-hmm.
it has paid off. I've been able to attend a couple of events where I didn't have to pay because they reached out to me, or maybe like one of my blogger friends had an extra ticket. So that's just another way for me to just kind of get out and just really put my name out there. And now I get to see like, oh, let me start writing. So the next step, I want to make like a full-fledged blog where I'm writing something, if it's weekly,
Mm-hmm.
bi-weekly, but
Mm-hmm.
just something where I can just share out something more and people can just go and reference that whenever they like.
Yeah, and what I heard a little bit earlier was, by when you go places, if you tag them, that's really partnerships,
Yes.
and so
Hmm.
that's partnerships because businesses certainly want advertising and if you're doing it and you really enjoy, so whether it's like this was a really great piece of cake or whatever, or this was a really great cocktail, whatever it was, by sharing that it can open those doors to those types of partnerships. So
Exactly.
what's been the most interesting partnership where you're like, wow, I can't believe by me doing this it turned into this.
Um, let's see. I think one of my partnerships, there's a restaurant here. They were actually partnering with Uncle Nearest Whiskey, and just I was contacted just to kind of just do some advertising, just kind of share out. So a couple of people came out, but it was during like a challenging time as far as there were a couple of other events going on. But I believe they did sell like all of their tickets. So from there, I feel like I started getting recognized. Like people like, oh, you're wine whiskey water, because oftentimes people don't know like your legal name. They just know who you are
Wine,
on
whiskey,
social media.
water.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I am somebody outside of wine whiskey and water. But thank you for recognizing me.
I see like some T-shirts here, and like even I see so much with marketing. I see like like three large W's here with the wine, whiskey, and then the water there, and it's like WWW, and it's like, well, what does this lead to? So, you know,
Yes.
but I remember a story when I think it was me, Chauncey, and Rhonda came to Chicago, and this is going back to whiskey and also Jack Daniels, and we were flying in, and when we got on the flight, we were drinking Jack Daniels. And I
Of
think
course.
there was a gentleman that was on the flight, which is interesting because I'm not like really like a big brown drinker, but if I do, I mean, I will probably do whiskey. Yeah, it's Hennessy's not a whiskey, is it? I'm not really a big Hennessy drinker.
No
Hennessy, that's not,
cognac.
yeah. Okay, all right, okay. Oh, now I will do cognac with like some what is that called? Oh, a French Connection,
Okay.
the cognac and the Grand Marnier. So
Yes.
yeah, but I remember on this flight we're all having whiskey. I mean, we're all having Jack, and then we get off the flight, and immediately when we get off, we go to a place and we're in there. And this guy comes up to us and he says, I think y'all were on my flight. And we're like, okay, yeah. He said, well, what are you all drinking? And we're like, well, we're about to have some more, you know, whiskey, some more Jack, because we're here to visit our friend Monique, who lives in Chicago, and she loves it. And then he was like, well, guess where I work? And he worked at this Jack Daniels distillery in Maryland. And so we're like, what? So then he's like, okay, all of them are on me. And then I think that same weekend, when we went to brunch, was it Duffy's maybe we went?
Yes.
Yeah, and then we ran into, you had on a Jack Daniels shirt or something, and then we ran into someone else, and then she says, well, guess what? I work
Yes.
for Jack Daniels, and then invited us to a tasting like that Monday. And we're like, who does a tasting on a Monday night?
We did it, and we were, I think, 25 sheets to all the wins, okay?
But even still, like, you know, it's, you know, I guess there's the book, which I'm going to make this connection here. Hopefully everyone gets it, from The Alchemist, Paulo Coelho. What it really says is that, you know, the whole universe will conspire when you're really interested in something.
Yes.
So the fact that we were coming to visit you that weekend, we're having Jack, we met someone that worked at the Jack distillery, and then we met someone that invited us to a Jack Daniels tasting. I mean,
exactly.
I think Wine, Whiskey, Water was like destined to be.
I think so. I think so. So thank you guys for supporting.
There you go. So, like, then lastly, just tell us in terms of, you talked about, you know, some of your, you know, ideas that you have, you know, coming up in terms of maybe a blog or, you know, keeping some writings about some things. What actually, you know, keeps you going doing this? Like, what's driving you?
So during these challenging times of COVID-19, I like to say I have become a coronavirus mixologist and chef. So I can't go out and about like I used to. So, you know, I like to read online. So I'm always finding recipes, or if I see something on the cooking shows or just whatever. And I'm going to try to replicate that. So this is like really encourage me to like start just cooking and making drinks more often at home, but then also just taking this to the next level. So, you know, you have a lot of down and alone time. So I'm like thinking and jotting notes and like just figuring what's next. So, I mean, you mentioned t-shirts. That's something that I have thought about. And then, you know, a couple of other things. So, I mean, I will be on your ID Live again soon with, this is what I'm doing. Wine, Whiskey, Water. We're live.
Okay, so I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit more just to close out here. If someone were, you said you become this mixologist, you know, a little bit more. If someone just said, are you pairing your cocktails with your meals? That was going to actually be my surprise question, Caramel Honey, because I was going to ask if someone were, you know, eating your delicious, famous shrimp and grits, what wine or what whiskey cocktail would you pair with your shrimp and grits?
Well, I am so happy you asked that because I have more props. But to answer the question, I do like either a Chardonnay or a champagne with my shrimp and grits. But so, nice segue. So I created a nice little platter. I don't know if you can see it. I'm losing some of my nuts.
Maybe hold it back, like step back a little bit. There you go. Yes. Okay. And then there you go.
Okay. So I have some cheese, some mixed nuts, and dark chocolate and apples. So the one takeaway that I want to kind of share with everybody is when we think about pairing food, oftentimes I think people, specifically cheese, I think people only think about wine. But you can also pair cheese with whiskey. So during COVID, I have been buying a lot more cheese, just experimenting. And I prefer to buy blocks of cheese and shredding it or cutting it myself because the flavor is better than the pre-shred. But on my platter, I have a Parmesan cheese that pairs well not only with a Cabernet, but also with a rye whiskey. So, like when you look at like the different pairings, specifically like with the wine, you want like a bold cheese. So Parmesan has like bold flavors. And then like the fattiness kind of like taps in and works well with the tannins of the red wine. And the tannins, it's like that bitterness and complexity that kind of make you go kind of dry. But the cheese, you know, complements that. And then also with like the rye whiskey, That's more of a like earthy. It has more like earthy tones.
Mm-hmm.
So like a harder cheese, which is also the Parmesan or like maybe a Gouda, it just kind of pairs well with it. And then my last little nugget, as far as cheese pairings, is some people like Scotch, and the Scotch has a very smoky flavor profile, and it goes well with like the blue cheese, like the creaminess and the saltiness kind of pairs well with that smokiness of your Scotch.
You know, thank you. That was I never would have. Oh, let me ask this question. Do you recommend doing if you're pairing it with cheese? Do you recommend doing like just the whiskey or the Scotch even by itself, like with no chaser, ice or anything?
Correct. I recommend doing it, as they call it, neat, when it's just nothing. You're not mixing it with it, but in that way you can really like taste whichever spirit that you're using, and then you can really it just goes better with the cheese. But some people also like to have their spirits chilled. So without diluting with ice, I have another prop.
And so I have a guest right. I'm on my mom's front porch, and someone just pulled up. So my mom's right here walking out. So but yeah, but go ahead. So what's the other prop you have?
I have like this little metal like ball that I keep in the freezer, and this is good to put in like whatever spirit, if you want to drink your vodka, if you want to drink your whiskey, Scotch. So this way you can still have a chilled drink without diluting whatever you drink.
Okay. Now I went to a tasting, and it was a Scotch tasting, and I'm trying to think of the brand. What's like a high-end brand of Scotch?
Macallan.
No, I've gone to a Macallan one before, but what was the other one? Oh man, it's gonna come to me. But when we were there, number one, I was surprised by a couple of things. Number one, I was surprised by there were a lot of older white women that were there, you know, at the tasting. But they also, I believe, like put like drops of water in there. To, I guess, you know, open it up a little bit.
Because they have open,
Yeah, but I was really shocked at, you know, the number of older white women that were there. Scotch tasting. Oh, what's the name of it? It was. I've gone to a Macallan one before, but
Johnny Walker.
No, I've gone to Johnny Walker tasting before too. It'll come back to me, but yeah,
Glenlivet. No. Okay, well, we can be here all night.
I'm gonna have look. What I'll do is I'll actually add it and I'll post it somewhere else. So, but
to your point, who you observed at that whiskey tasting or Scotch tasting, many times when I'm out and about, I could be by myself, and the looks that I get or some of the conversations, they're so shocked to see, I would say, an African American woman drinking, you know, whiskey bourbon. I mean, one time I was out, this gentleman, an older white guy, was like really staring, like I can feel it. So I looked over, I'm like, hi. And, you know, we started talking, and he said, any woman that drinks whiskey is okay with me. And he bought that drink and another one. So
there you go. Well, listen, but see how, you know, all the things that are out there that actually, you know, bind us together, you know, and a cocktail, you know, it's a start. And I love, you all know I love documentaries, and there's this documentary on Netflix that's about Maya Angelou, and the lady was talking about, you know, when they were, you know, hanging out and all this. She said, oh, when we would go to, you know, to the bar, you know, we would sit at the bar, like, you know, we were bar stool girls, like we would not sit, you know, we would sit at the bar, because that's really where the conversations happen. That's where the friendships are made.
Exactly.
And, it's like, you know, cheers, you know, you meet new people there, and whether it's over wine, whiskey, or, you know, water, it's a great way to make, you know, good connections. So
I agree. That's the best seat in the house.
There you go. So any, you know, I think we kind of answered all the questions that, you know, people were asking there, but any last, you know, advice you will offer to anyone that's, you know, maybe trying to get into whiskey more or learn about it, or even, you know, I hope people are drinking their water. And now you know how to drink water in a copper, you know, vessel. So, but what advice would you offer for, you know, a novice to end it trying to get into wine or, you know, to whiskey? What, you know?
You know what? I feel like wherever you live, there are always like chain stores of your local liquor, beverage, wine shop. So when I go there, I'm always having conversations. I'm talking.
It's in your DNA.
Yeah, that too. I can come back to that. I'm
Please,
talking,
look, please do. Please do.
I ask questions, and I say, can you give me any recommendations? I do the same thing that I do at my local store, which is Benny's, that I do at a restaurant. Like, oh, what's a recommendation? Like, is there something new here? Or like, this is what I like. And then I do a lot of research. But what really helped me, I counted today, I think I'm at about 50 or 60 whiskey brands that I've tasted. But within there, I'm probably over 100 whiskey plus that I've tasted, because each brand may have like 3, 4, different types of whiskey. So,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, so I just say, ask questions. I'm a very inquisitive person.
Mm-hmm.
That's sometimes how I started a friendship. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I said Keys opens doors that said it's in your DNA. With tasting over 50 brands of whiskey, it's also like it's really in your blood.
It is in my blood. But growing up, and this is also kind of where my passion for cooking came. My dad's mom, I used to watch her make homemade red wine and ice cream.
Oh wow.
And
Yeah.
then fast forward, her daughter, she went to culinary school. She also went to California and studied wine. So it's naturally here. I get it honest.
There you go. And you're building on to that, really, that that legacy, that culinary legacy, that
Yes.
hospitality legacy. You're building on to that. So good. So
Mm-hmm.
someone said that they love your gallery wall.
Oh, thank you. This is, I call it my wall of travel. Whenever I go somewhere, I like to pick up a piece of art or artifact or something that I put on the wall. So thank you.
So, so I'll say this, actually, Embro Chick 73 is going to actually be my next guest on Thursday.
Okay.
So I wore this color of this shirt in honor of you. So I'll have to find another pink and green shirt to wear in honor of her for our conversation on Thursday as well. So yeah, good deal. Well, Monique, Miss Wine, Whiskey, Water, thank you so much. I've learned a lot. You have really, you taught me something new. So I hope that everyone else, learned, something as well. And so I can't thank you enough for jumpstarting the first Teach Me How To. So
Thank you. No, this was awesome.
great. All right. Thank you all. Thanks to everyone for joining us. And so, I'll see you all on Thursday.
Okay.
Thanks, Monique.
Cheers.
Yeah. Oh, yes. We got to do a cheers at the end. There you go. Have a good one.
Thanks. You too.